This is Jack, and we're here to review the new Fantastic Four First Steps film. Of course, I'm joined by my boss, Ryan.
Hello, hello. I was surprised when we got the Fantastic Four movie, and it ended up being pretty spot on. I'd say it's pretty good.
This was a lot of fun.
After we started the show, they slowly started to become one of my favorite teams, and currently I like them more than the Avengers.
I think the director actually took all the eras of the FF into consideration when he did this film. Pedro Pascal is probably, cast-wise, the one that's least like the character.
It was definitely a choice. I was questioning to myself why it might be him. And obviously, we know he's a great actor. I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind about that.
He is handled very well. It's just like Reed. He doubts when he sees Galactus. He's got the family connection down. He's got Reed's big ideas.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to play. Vanessa Kirby and Sue Richards.
She was probably the best casting. I think she really played the role fantastically.
I think she had a real motherly air about her, which Sue does.
Yeah. You're going to get into that too, because she is having the baby this movie.
And I liked how they showed her powers. Like I liked the way they showed Reed's powers too. The stretching looked really good, especially when he kicked the super ape into the water. And Sue's powers looked really good. When they turned invisible, it looked great. And of course, it looked great when she pushed Galactus back. Her power is tapped into a thing called the Hyperstorm, which is like the energy of the universe kind of a thing. But it also has a basis in her emotion. So because she's got a mother's love for Franklin, that's why she was powerful enough to knock Galactus back. And even that killed her. We'll go to my favorite character, the Thing, who is lacking his accent, but I think was played extremely well. He does eventually say it's clobbering time. And he does call him Stretch, and he calls her Suze, called Torch Matchstick. So he got all the the Thingisms in, except for whatever Revolt and Development this is. I'm hoping for next movie. I love the look. I loved how Thing was used.
I was really hoping when I first seen the trailer that we would get his accent. Other than that, it's probably the most true to Thing that we've seen. Other than the animation, the one that we're watching right now?
Yeah, the animated 60s. That is definitely Ben Grimm lifted right out of the comic book.
Yeah, that is like number one thing that you want to reach.
The tributes to Jack Kirby in this movie were amazing. The quote at the end, and then the universe, the 828 universe being Jack Kirby's birthday. That was really cool. For those that don't know, Yancey Street is now an official street in New York, corner of Yancey Street and Jack Kirby Lane.
Oh, wow.
I think Michael Chiklis as the Thing was the perfect as far as the voice and all that goes. But this look was a better look. Go on to your favorite character, who seemed to be really buddy with Herbie. Jonathan Quinn played the Human Torch.
I honestly thought he was amazing too. I wish we could have gotten him a little bit younger, because I know in his first introduction he is a teenager. Even in his first introduction in the comics, we see him like working on the cars, and before he flames on, he has a little bit more of a relationship with like friends outside of being a hero. And I wish we would have gotten a little more into that. I feel like this, so out of all of them, was maybe strayed the furthest from his actual character.
Well, this is supposed to be 4 years in, so Johnny would have been in his 20s by the time this happened.
I guess that makes sense then. I didn't know it was that far in.
That's why Thing is more calm. I love the look. The look was very much the Alex Ross flaming look.
Yeah.
I liked the fact that Johnny was key to defeating Galactus. All four of them should have moments to shine. But Johnny, in the actual comic story, is the one who goes and gets the ultimate nullifier. Well, in this, Johnny was the one who was able to reach the Silver Surfer. He did it all on his own while everybody else was kind of blowing off the language thing. Johnny would not let it go.
And that's something that we see a lot from him, is like the stubbornness, the hard-headed, if he's going to do it, he's going to do it kind of thing. Sometimes it works out for him, sometimes it doesn't. Here you can see he was the main driving reason that they ended up winning this whole situation.
What do you think were some of the best story points and character points in this movie?
Should we start with the elephant in the room, being the baby? Franklin being the main story point here. Him being like this all-powerful cosmic God baby.
Johnny was calling him the magic baby.
Yeah. And so just seeing that, Galactus finding what he wants out of Earth, leading the Fantastic Four, the whole team, to say, we're not giving up, Franklin. That whole set of points is not what I was expecting to see in an origin story for a live-action Fantastic Four.
Mole Man, who was
Yeah.
in here, the way they handled him was pretty excellent.
Yeah, seeing him be friendly with them, cordial with them,
Cordial, yes.
was interesting.
Well, at least Sue. I mean, he made fun of Reed. He made fun of Johnny. Mole Man was a huge part of saving a lot of lives in New York. So that was great. Johnny was going to go blast Galactus if the Silver Surfer hadn't knocked him off.
If I'm being honest, I thought he was going to run into him, then go supernova. That's what I was expecting. And then Silver Surfer coming out of nowhere for the sacrifice. Out of my thought process.
Yeah, it was a great moment. He stops and says, tell Franklin his Uncle Johnny loved him. The Franklin story point was great because it brought out the family in all of them. One of my favorite story points was Ben with the kids, lifting the car and all that. And he was, you could tell Thing wants kids. And now, of course, in the comics, he has them. Ben is that kind of guy. He's a protective guy. He wants to play with them. You see him going from that to slugging Galactus while yelling clobber in time. To me, that was a great juxtaposition showing the depth of the character.
Often watching the show, you would know that after pretty much every comic and after every episode of the animated show that we've reviewed, that I'm always saying I want to see more team action, like all of them doing their part or all of them specifically working together and using their abilities to play into each other. And we see that a lot with Thing and Torch throughout those mediums. But here specifically, we see all of them working together as one. If you're going to have the Fantastic Four, it has to be like that. Because the whole point of them is that they can all stand on their own. But as a team is when they're strongest.
Thing that knocked the building down so that Galactus couldn't keep himself in when Sue was pushing him back. Reed stopped him earlier by sucking some of the energy out by pulling out and Johnny's the one who blinded him in the first place. And also saved the Thing when Thing gets thrown out into space. Johnny who sets up the clobber in time by dropping Ben in there so he can slug him. You know? We're going to talk about the female Silver Surfer, Shala Bal. That's a big difference from the comics, although Shala Bal does exist in the comics. I think it was necessary in this storyline because of Johnny's attraction to her.
Yeah.
She'd have to be a girl.
I think it could have worked if they would have done more like brotherly kind of like back and forth bickering kind of thing. As we know Johnny, he's the lover boy, smooth talker kind of guy. Him having that relationship with Silver Surfer, I think that was probably their best route.
Here, you actually get to see, and he cares nothing about human beings, calls them clever bugs, Galactus himself. Yay or nay on Galactus? What did you think about Galactus here?
An absolute yay. Galactus as a whole. This is probably the best we've seen him, not only in like movies, but I think this is probably the best we've seen him in the comics too so far. But here you feel that sense of dread, and especially when you see his ship absolutely like towering over the whole planet. Him, as soon as he lands in New York and he smashes into the water and then he stands up and he's still way above the water, eye level with the buildings and so.
Kaiju entrance he has in this. Galactus purposely floats above the planet, but here he was already ticked off with the Fantastic Four because they escaped him with Franklin, so he wanted to intimidate them.
Yeah.
This was not the usual Galactus is here for a meal, so I'm just going to float it over the top and kill them all. This is, no. You guys defied me. I'm going to make you pay for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what were your final thoughts on this film?
I wanted to get a couple things. Seeing that conflict between Reed and Sue when he says that there is only like one option pretty much and they know what he's implying but no one really says anything. Sue kind of storms off and then they have that conversation of I know you didn't say it but we know it crossed your mind because you're thinking of every possible outcome. And then he says something along the lines of it's not that he wants to think about that stuff, it's that he has to, that he's forced to, because
that's his job.
Yeah, that's his job. It's the amount of knowledge that he has. She tells him it's not your job to think about the negative stuff. You see both sides of the coin, but without Reed thinking of all the negative possibilities, it would be hard for him to come across those few ones where they have the chance to win. That's like the curse of knowledge.
that Mr. Fantastic has.
Yeah, it's that curse of knowledge. Just seeing that whole like sequence play out, it'll leave you with your own feelings on who might be in the right there.
The last thing is, would this inspire you to see Avengers Doomsday, which is the next film?
Yes, I'm hoping that officially Marvel is back. Like I said, the last few movies and shows just weren't it. I wasn't too excited about them. I wasn't too invested in them when they did come out. Hopefully this will mark a new era.
All right, until Thing finally comes up against the Hulk in live action, be fantastic.
That's all, no more.